another important point, because definitely these people who were in prison, they have nothing when it comes to violence, for example.
Exactly.
But other members, still we need to clarify that these youth they are talking about, they have triggered violence and they have participated not in a peaceful demonstrations.
Yes, this is a very important point that you have raised now, actually, because we have to differentiate between destructive elements and people which are protesting, like in all over the world. You see a lot of people, they protest in all countries, you see, without destructing properties, public or private properties. We have to differentiate between both. And even sometimes you have human casualties. Sometimes people die in these occasions, you know, if you attack a police station or you attack a...
or just to trigger violence.
Exactly.
Or anything that might affect the national security of the country.
You have people that could be dead, you see, in these incidents. So this certainly, it's against the law, you see. You cannot, it's as if you have committed a crime that you killed someone, which is the normal law, you see. When you kill someone, you go to the court and you take your sentence, you see, normally. So this is actually, we have to differentiate between even the Muslim Brotherhood that didn't make any violence and probably the one which were causing violence, you see. And this will be a principle on all cases that the President actually asked, put the criteria on it, you see.
Right, moving on to Akhbar al-Yawm to take a look at another headline. Parliament Speaker Ali Abdel Al said on Thursday that Egypt is looking forward to boost the joint cooperation with China and the joint coordination in issues with common interests. This came during his meeting with the deputy head of the Chinese Parliamentary Committee, Ji Bing-chuan, where he stressed on the importance of benefiting of the Chinese experiences in different fields, especially in the development projects. And I think we talked a lot about China and our relation with China,
yes,
and of course how to take benefit or to exchange, talking about the experience in different fields, just as mentioned, for example.
Yes, the success stories that have been achieved by China and the success models, certainly we could benefit, and certain from the Chinese experience itself. You see, China since 50 years was not China that we know today. So again, probably, and as well also the financing. You see, I don't know if you're aware, certainly I think you're aware that China has financed, you see the IMF has requested that Egypt provides $6 billion. Yes, exactly. So China has participated in this. So this is a very important aspect again for international relations, that we're diversifying our relations again. We're not concentrating on a certain block,
and to be supported by the major
international community,
economic powers as well.
Exactly, yes.
Moving on to Al Jamhuriya newspaper, Prime Minister Sharif Ismail stressed on intensifying the market's monitoring to ensure providing basic goods with the suitable prices for all brackets. And this came during his meeting on Thursday with ministers of agriculture, trade, industry, finance, supply and internal trade. The Prime Minister stressed that food products and the strategic reserve are secured for the coming 6 months. And of course, talking about the prices, the inflation, and still we have a challenge actually.
True, but again,
because still you can never control it in certain stores.
I'll tell you, certainly this is only not, I cannot really blame the government itself. You see, we should take also the consumer. If the consumer sees something wrong, someone is trying to hide certain products in order to make profits, unusual profits, you see, to monopolize or to create a crisis in the market, like in the sugar, you see, we had the sugar case, you see.
But this is a completely different situation. I mean, I'm not talking about the sugar, I'm talking about the prices in general.
Yes.
The point is that still you need something or regulations, rules,
I'll tell you.
law, to put the prices. It's not only a matter of demand and supply. You can never control markets.
No, I'll tell you what we can do. You see, there are the cooperative societies which used to be in the 60s and 70s existent. You see, these provide foodstuff and basic needs for the poor people and for the middle class. Actually, again, probably if we can reactivate these, and certainly we do not allow anyone to go inside. You see, there are certain criteria that you can know who are the low bracket employee citizens that deserve to get benefit of these products. You see, we could use this as a channel in order to avoid the high prices that are for the basic products. Actually, you see, it's be very important. I used to have this in the 60s, if you remember. You used to have.
No, I don't remember.
Actually,
I was not there.
Okay, so it was there. You see, the cooperative societies, and used to have everything. For the poor people, it was available, you know. Right. Again, because they cannot afford going to supermarkets and places of that sort, you know. So this would be a certain solution. Yeah.
Moving on to Al-Ahram Online. Egyptian Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry expressed Cairo's appreciation of Washington's support for his country's economic reform program, the Foreign Ministry said in a statement on Thursday. During a telephone conversation with Secretary of State John Kerry, Shoukry expressed Cairo's appreciation of U.S. support for Egypt's economic reform plan, which was presented to the International Monetary Fund Board, and U.S. support for several aspects of the Egyptian economy recently. And the two officials also discussed recent developments in crisis-ridden countries in the region, including Syria, and Egyptian and U.S. efforts to reach a political solution over there. I think this is
the change again. Yes, that you see, it's a change in the not only in the economic side. There's a change in this, the tactics of the United States. You see, I don't certainly recall that the U.S. the relations are not very healthy during the past 2 years. You see, now they found out that the strategy that they had been adopted didn't work properly. You see, so they had to change it. And this is something you see good when you admit that you made a mistake and then you correct yourself. This is something good. You know, it's better than keeping on with the same mistake, you see. So the United States...
It's the rules of the game. That
exactly.
You have to have alternative.
Yes,
it doesn't
exactly.
mean that I change my mind.
That I'm wrong.
No.
Yes.
I have an alternative, a contingency plan,
exactly.
as we call it in business.
If plan A doesn't work, I go to plan B. And that's what they're doing now. And probably we could benefit from this. I hope it will be a lesson to the United States that in international relations, we have to look at it as a win-win situation. It's a mutual benefit.
Yes.
Top one is going to make gains on the expense on the other party. You see, so if they understand this concept, probably the relations will be very good. Probably they improve in the future.
Moving on to Al-Ahram Online. Cairo is ready to host and sponsor a national dialogue between different Palestinian political forces. Egypt's General Intelligence Chief told a Palestinian Islamic delegation during a Cairo meeting. We have more details in the following report. Cairo announced that it is ready to host and sponsor a national dialogue between different Palestinian political forces. The announcement was made by Egypt's General Intelligence Chief told a Palestinian Islamic Jihad delegation on Wednesday during a Cairo meeting. Egypt's General Intelligence Chief Khalid Fawzi received in a Cairo meeting the leading Palestinian Islamist organization's Secretary General Ramadan Challa. According to state-owned MENA agency, both sides discussed developments related to the Palestinian cause, where Challa updated Fawzi on the organization's efforts and suggestions for a Palestinian reconciliation. Fawzi said the Palestinian cause remains a priority for Egyptian foreign policy, stressing on Egypt's keenness on the unity of Palestinian forces as well as its support to all efforts related to achieving the independence of the Palestinian people. The Egyptian official mentioned the opening of the Rafah border with Gaza for humanitarian relief and said that there will be further efforts undertaken by the Egyptian side. On Sunday, Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi ordered the opening of the border crossing for 4 days from Monday till Friday. And the Rafah crossing is the only way for the 1.8 million Palestinians in Gaza who have been living under Israeli siege since 2006 to enter and exit the strip. Challa and his accompanying delegation talked to the circumstances that the Palestinians were facing in Gaza Strip and what the occupation forces were doing in terms of oppressive policies and procedures. The delegation praised Egypt's role in working towards Palestinian unity, welcoming Egypt's decision on the opening of the border crossing. The Palestinian officials also called on the opening of the crossing on a permanent basis to lessen the suffering of the Palestinian people. Welcome back. I'm talking about the Palestinian cause, and of course Egypt has always been one of the main supporters, or the supporter actually, to the Palestinian people throughout all the years. And now we're talking again about the Palestinian cause, and how How would you read it so far?
Really, to be frank with you, the Palestinian cause was not, I don't have to say ignored, it took a second priority, but this is due to the turbulent circumstances that the Middle East, you see, has witnessed. You see all the wars and troubles and all that. And certainly the Palestinian problem is the core problem. You see, we had this before all the Arab Springs and all these turbulences that
Especially
occurred.
recently there was the law that has to do with the settlements.
Exactly, which is ridiculous.
And this is
yes.
one of the most important issues actually that took place very recently during the past couple of days.
So again, you see, the Palestinian problem is the core problem here in the Middle East, you see, because it started, and if we don't end this conflict, certainly it will cause disability and disequilibrium in the whole region. Not only
even if you were able to solve all the challenges in all of the neighborhood countries, if the Palestinian cause did not be solved, still we will suffer.
Exactly, that is true.
The whole region.
This is true. Yes.
Right. Moving on to Egypt independent. The Central Bank of Egypt announced Thursday that the US dollar soars to its highest level against the Egyptian pound this week. The official rate for the dollar at the CBE on Thursday registered 15.5 Egyptian pounds to buy and 16.1 Egyptian pounds to sell, whereas it reached 15.29 for buying and actually 15.92 for selling on Wednesday. The banking sector suffered loss due to the lack of dollar liquidity during the last 2 years, which consequently led to an increase in the exchange rate of the US currency, finally reaching 18 Egyptian pounds to the dollar before the pound flotation decision that was announced by the Egyptian government earlier in November 2016. Well, definitely this is one of the most important issues or things that took place and is dominating the whole world actually when it comes to the international media.
True.
And you think still that, as it was mentioned, still to judge, we have to wait at least 3 months so that things will be back on track and give the chance to the Egyptian pound, to
evaluate the decision. But however, you see, let us go again and see the results. We had immediate results. You see, we had $2.7 billion which were poured into the banking system. They used to go to the black market, number one. Number two, you have the government and the central bank has been had the ability to open all the letters of credit, all the imports which are outstanding. You see, these used to be financed by the black market. So now they went into official shares. Number three, we had a lot of money which was put at home. You see, in Egyptian pounds, and people were frightened in putting and dealing with the banking system with the 16% and a half these certificates. We had a tremendous amount. I think it was 500 million pounds which were poured into for these certificates. You see, all this certainly gives us an indication that we're going on the right track. But again, as I mentioned before, this steps should have been taken a long time ago when the government or the central bank saw that there had been an escalation, a quick escalation, which was sometimes every 2 days it changed, the rate of exchange, until, as you mentioned, 18 pounds here. So they should have taken this step ahead since February, you see, when the problem started. But however, it's good. It's better than nothing. Now we started solving the problem. We took the decision. And as you mentioned now, in order to evaluate it completely, we have to wait for some time to see the repercussions about this decision.
Right. Finally, Egypt's stock indices collectively rose on Thursday, pushed by the purchasing operations of Arab and foreign investors, while Egyptian investors tending to selling. The stock market gained 24.6 billion pounds during the weekend trading, and the main EGX 30 index went up by 2.4%, and the balanced weight EGX 50 gained 0.4%. As EGX 20 edged up 1.9%, while the small and medium-sized businesses of EGX 70 added 0.13%.
Well, this is again, this is again a result of the measures that were taken by the central bank in order to liberalize the Egyptian pound. You see, this again gave confidence to the people which are going to invest in the stock market that if you're going to put their money and then retransfer, they're not going to lose again because of the dramatic change which used to take place on a daily or 2-day basis in the exchange rate. So this gives stability again to the stock, and as you see, the stock market raised by a dramatic percentage since we have liberated the Egyptian pound. You see, I think the figures that were mentioned, that it never happened since 3 years ago. You see that the stock market went up dramatically. So this is a very important point, you see, causing stability for the investors abroad that are trying to come into the market. They do need to ensure they're not going to lose a lot of money when changing their pounds again back into dollars.
Right. At the end, Mr. Mostafa Tammam, political and economic analyst, thank you very much for joining us. And still, we have more to bring you. So right now, we're going to move on to a quick break, and we'll be back to resume our breakfast show.